All right, guys, we are on site today with Miss Miki McGreevey. Now, she is the enemy. She is an on-site property manager. She manages multiple properties, multiple oceanfront condo resort properties in Myrtle Beach. Now, do you also extend to North Myrtle Beach?
We do. So we say we're from the south end to the north end of the Grand Strand.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, and she's going to spill the beans on all things property management from an on-site rental perspective. I know that most of you investors out there are, self-managing. You want to maximize those profits, but there are some investors that do find value in using an on-site property manager or even perhaps an off-site property manager. Now, Miki, kind of just give us just a little bit about your experience managing short-term vacation rental properties in Myrtle Beach. How long have you been doing this? Kind of walk us through how you got into it.
Sure. So, I come from a hospitality background. I've been in hotel and real estate off and on. I'm 60, so for quite a few years. I've been with Vacation Myrtle Beach, which is a company that I represent now, for about 3.5 years.
Super cool, super cool. And how many rentals would you say you manage?
Dear Lord. Well, we have 8 condo towers along the Grand Strand.
Okay, and for when she says condotels, she means an oceanfront condo resort. A condotel is technically a financing term that is a hotel that was converted into a condominium. But go ahead.
Correct, right. So the individual units are individually owned, right?
That's right.
And that's what you're talking about, they would be purchasing perhaps at one of our resorts. And I work with, real estate agents, such as yourself and others. I work with buyers and homeowners as well. Basically what I'm doing, I'm not in sales, I'm not selling anything. What I'm doing is onboarding.
That's right.
So I'm bringing people onto our on-site rental program.
Yep. Now, in your mind, what sets Myrtle Beach apart from other vacation destinations like Florida, perhaps, or other places where investors might be looking to invest? Why should they come to our market and invest with us?
Sure. So one of the things that I often hear, because people are not only just looking at different resorts along the Grand Strand, but like you say, some people might be looking in Florida versus Myrtle Beach, that sort of thing.
Gatlinburg, Nashville.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is the feedback that I get from other people that are looking to shop, investors, is that the Myrtle Beach area it's cost effective. So it's cost effective to purchase.
I hear that too.
The vacation, the restaurants, just the area, the parks, everything here is very cost effective. So while that makes it a motivating factor for somebody to purchase here or come here on vacation, it's also nice for so let's say the guest. Because it's an economical place to come, which is going to increase your revenue because they're coming here more and more often. Right?
Now, guys, let's just kind of back into that. I completely agree with her. Myrtle Beach is the #2 vacation destination on the East Coast. We see between 20 and 22 million tourists visit our market each year. So you can see where it catches a huge market share when it comes to places to visit. Basically we are mainstream tourism. Like we are mainstream. Like we are that, that demo that is middle America, upper class America. They're coming here. They're wanting to spend time here. 22 million people is a lot of people to come visit a place.
It sure is. And we have such a wide, we've got families that come year after year. We get people that drive. We have the Myrtle Beach Airport.
Oh yeah, international airport.
Yeah. So and that's just easy to get to. Yeah. The furthest, like we're at the Beach Cove Resort now, right? The airport's maybe 20 minutes away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, you're like always 20, 30 minutes tops away from the airport. Yeah. And at a lot of the oceanfront places, you're 10, 15 minutes away.
Correct.
Yeah. So, this market has tons of attractions. We have Broadway at the Beach, a 350-acre tourist attraction with everything to do under the sun. If you've got a family, kids, if you're single and you've got nightlife that you're interested in, you're going to find it at Broadway.
Sure. Yeah. You have everything. We have Barefoot right here.
Barefoot Landing. Another one. And that's got a marina on the water where people drive their boats up and eat at the restaurant on the water. It's really, really nice.
I was there last week.
Yeah, it's nice, right? It's
nice.
Boat. Yeah, come on. It's very, very nice. And so, anyways, and that's just a handful of things. I mean, there's
Sure,
a
it's
lot more.
golf.
There's
Obviously, we're
90
yeah,
golf courses.
yeah,
90. I mean,
yeah.
like over 90 golf courses in our market. It is a golf enthusiast haven here. I mean, you can play golf. You could play golf every day at a different place for 3
Sure.
months.
Yeah.
You know?
We actually have we have a group sales department, but we also have a golf department that is strictly getting golf groups to our resorts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a different advantage that you bring to the table. You're going to be able to hit that niche market maybe a lot more effectively, or at least you're tailored to hitting golfers, unless
Sure.
someone's specifically targeting their marketing towards golfers, they're not picking up on that.
Correct. Yeah. And so I think one of the things that, that we bring to the table, right,
Yep.
is, we have the golf department and we have a group sales department. And so that's bringing all the group business. And so we're getting multiple units business.
Wow.
And that, we probably all know this, right? We do about 50 to 60% of our revenue for the whole year in June, July, and August in Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
So what we're able to do is with our group business and our golf in the spring and the fall, we say we bring about 30 to 40%.
Okay.
And then winter, November, December, January, February is about 10 to 20%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that helps us with our group and golf department. It kind of keeps things going more throughout the year.
No doubt. You've got dedicated people that are doing nothing but going out there and grabbing that golf business.
Correct.
And for the larger condos, like those 4-bedroom condos, 3 bedrooms, 4-bedroom condos, those large groups of golfers, they're going to rent those
Correct.
a whole lot more than the 1 bedrooms and the 2 bedrooms, because
Sure.
they come down in groups.
Yeah. And it's easy for them that way,
Absolutely. Wow. So guys, if you do own a larger unit, you might want to consider going with Miki for the simple benefit of, hey, she can pull the golfers in. She can pull
Sure.
a large group that's going to be here, and most of the time in those down season months, the golfers are coming September, October, November.
Right. Yeah.
So that's going to be those slower seasons.
Spring and fall usually, and that's definitely a nice filler business at that time. And somebody who typically maybe is just, whether it's an offsite rental or somebody self-managing, they just have one or 2 units typically, right? Yeah. So they're not getting that group business.
Exactly.
And how are they standing out to a golfer or to anybody, really? What are you doing to make it stand out if you're on VRBO or Airbnb?
Exactly. Who are you? Who is your marketing catered towards? So do you guys do anything with conferences?
We do. We have conferences, bus tours, weddings. Yeah, we have it all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so you guys really
brings in.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, that's a really nice benefit.
And we are going to get into some of those gross rental income numbers for some of the resorts that she manages. Some of those highest numbers are pretty high.
They're looking pretty good.
So we'll definitely get into that. Now, moving right along, let's talk about property management insights. What's the biggest mistake you're seeing self-managing out-of-state investors make with their properties?
Say it again.
The biggest mistake you see self-managing out-of-state investors making with their properties?
I think one of the biggest things is people go into it and they're not completely informed.
Okay.
So they don't necessarily realize what a big job it is. And it's maybe great when everything is going smoothly.
Okay.
But then what happens, when you have a maintenance issue in the middle of the night? And what if you can't get a hold of your guy that you have here in Myrtle Beach? You don't have a whole company, right? You've got one person.
Yeah.
So you're hoping that they answer the phone, at midnight when somebody's got a backed up toilet or sink.
No doubt.
It's not sexy, but it happens.
It happens. Come on.
Or, the kids are, drinking soda and cotton candy all day, and then they're sick and they need new bedding. All these types of things that people don't really think about. But if you're off-site, you're not able to get to them as quickly and effectively.
Yeah.
And it also costs a lot more.
Okay.
So with an off-site company, their percentage is lower than ours,
okay.
Correct?
Yep.
But, we're here, so we can take care of maintenance and that sort of thing. And somebody else might have to call somebody to, come do a sink or a toilet or whatever it is. And, now maybe that's a $700 phone call because it's after 5 o'clock at night and it's an emergency call.
As we're with an on-site property manager, you've got somebody on-site already any time of the day, morning or night.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So, from the guest standpoint, they're staying in a resort hotel.
Yeah.
Except the only difference from their aspect is that the units are individually owned.
Yep.
But I mean, we've got the front desk. Their whole experience is just like they're staying in a hotel.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, now how do you handle emergencies like plumbing issues or guest complaints when the owner is not local? So
we don't even have to contact the owner. We're taking care of that,
Yep.
right? So they've hired us.
Yep.
Right. We're under contract. We do a year contract.
Okay.
The guest would call just like if they were at a hotel. They'd probably call the front desk and say, "I've got this maintenance issue."
Yeah, for sure.
We'll just send the maintenance department to take care of it.
Super fast and easy.
Yeah.
All right, so what are some of the hidden costs or challenges of self-managing a short-term rental that you see investors often overlooking?
I think it's probably the maintenance.
Really?
Right. Because what I hear, of course, I'm hearing from people who maybe tried a small offsite company or doing it themselves, right? Obviously, that didn't work out, and so that's the people that I'm hearing from.
No doubt.
They're reaching out to me.
No doubt, yeah.
Right.
You're the on-site, rescue us.
Yes. So that typically they will say if they're trying to self-manage, they'll say that they didn't realize how much was going into it.
Okay.
And one thing is marketing, right?
Yep.
So how do you stand out? Like you can just throw your ad up on VRBO, but how do you make yourself stand out?
Yeah,
You
have to build a whole marketing campaign. You have to have a theme and a story and a narrative around it. You got to be on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job.
We have departments, right? I mean, it's a job, and I think a lot of people overlook that. And I think they also, they just don't think about you have a code on your lock, right?
Okay.
If you're offsite. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I hear about people who can't get in. The guests can't get in. They can't figure out the lock. The lock's not working. The battery died. Well, now they got to call off-site maintenance, right? Because it's not on our program.
Not on your program.
And again, what does that cost?
No
the
doubt.
owner, because they have to call somebody, even if they have their maintenance guy, right?
Yep.
It typically, I mean, it can turn into a $500 or $600 phone call.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And it's
and
they're
it could
there
be
for 5 minutes.
And it could be something as simple as they can't get the TV to turn on, but the TV's plugged into the outlet where they've got to flip the switch.
Correct.
And the maintenance guy's got to go there just to flip the switch on the wall.
Right. And what did the poor owner pay to? Because they're coming from off site.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
So those are the things I hear about a lot. Yeah.
All right, so let's shift into maximizing return on investment. Before we do that, given your background though, you having experience, you knowing about property management, you coming from this background, for a person like you yourself though, if you had to choose between self-managing or passing off to a property manager, what would you choose?
I would definitely go with on-site management.
Even though you have the experience and the background you have?
I would. I think there's a lot into it, and it's time consuming, and you're getting phone calls in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And who's going to come up with all that marketing? I mean, it is a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you think that a person that already has a full-time job can successfully do this on their own? Like self-manage?
I mean, some people try it and they do it, but it's kind of like, well, especially if you have a full-time job, I mean, what is the value of your personal time, right? So, I mean, that's
good.
Right? But I mean, that's your call.
You can do it, but do you want it to cost you what it's costing you?
Right. I mean, do you want to be there on the weekends, coming up with marketing ideas and
answering phone calls at midnight?
Yeah, your maintenance, your housekeeping. Your housekeeper didn't show up. Well, now what do you do? Or, the guest isn't happy with something.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be doing that on Saturday afternoon. I want to be over barefoot on the boat.
There you go. That's right. Okay, so now let's shift into maximizing return on investment. What are the top 3 upgrades or amenities that generate the highest return on investment in Myrtle Beach Oceanfront Condos?
You mean for the resort?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Pools.
I'm going dead.
Tiki bar.
I'm like pools.
Tiki bars.
Oceanfront restaurants.
Oceanfront restaurants. Sand Dunes has a mini golf. Which is obviously they have like a glow in the dark. No, not all of them have that.
Sure.
Water parks. Dunes Village has indoor park.
Sure.
What do you think those top 3 amenities are that really draw the guests?
Well, I mean, I think it really is the pools, right? First is location, right? And then it's definitely pools. I mean, you can see the beautiful area we have here. Now down at our landmark resort, we just put in a brand new water park.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And you have to be on the on-site rental program to have access to that. You can't pay to get into that.
Yep.
That's so clearly,
and that was
saw
like
that
what,
as
like
a good investment. Right?
$1.2 million.
Yes. Yeah. It's a big project.
It was pricey.
You know, and indoor pools as well. I mean, it's lovely to have outdoor pools, but I mean, when it's cold, I mean, today it was, 40 degrees here, right?
Yep.
It's nice to have indoor pools
For
as
sure.
well.
For sure. So pools for sure.
Restaurants,
bars, and then if they've got a water park, that's obviously the cherry on top that really seals the deal.
A lot of the kids like the lazy rivers, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't
we're
like
just going pools,
who doesn't like a lazy river? Now, inside the unit themselves, obviously the nicer the unit is, the better it's going to rent. What do you think the top 3 upgrades are for an oceanfront condo unit? Like, what does it got to have to attract investors on Airbnb and VRBO?
Sure. So, I mean, absolutely, especially since 2020 and, our shutdown, it's flooring, right? Everybody needs upgraded flooring.
Got to have flooring. Yeah. If you have got carpet in a unit, you're wasting your time.
Correct. Yeah. Your furniture has to be taken care of. Your furniture has to be new and clean. Everybody wants new and clean. You're on vacation,
on vacation. Who wants to spend $2,000 to go to some dirty old place?
Correct. Yeah. Granite countertops, new cabinetry. Obviously, upgraded bathrooms are lovely, and walkout showers and that sort of thing. I don't know that that's necessarily quite as important.
Okay.
As long as everything's painted fresh, the furniture is good, granite countertops, flooring. I think that's your
Okay. So, how do you feel about in my opinion, and from what I've seen, when a unit, I found a unit over at Compass Cove that has and it's for sale, guys. If you want to buy it, I want somebody to buy. If I wasn't buying a house right now, I'd probably buy it. It is a penthouse in unit, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It has a wraparound balcony on 2 sides of the unit.
Sweet.
So you got an ocean view from one side, and you got an ocean front from the other. The unit is old and dated and very dirty. I mean, like dirt. You can see in the listing photos. There's dirt on the ceiling. There's dirt on the front door.
So it needs a whole new,
It made $63,000 in gross rental income last year. And it's dirty and old and dated. And I think primarily it's because of that massive wraparound balcony. It's a penthouse unit, top floor.
Sure.
How many of those units are really out there on the oceanfront? There can't be very, very many.
Well, clearly it's still booking, but it's like now, if it was upgraded and nice,
that unit can make $100,000. I mean, I think so all day long. Yeah. And so how do you feel about balconies? Do you feel like they're super important for guests, or the floor to ceiling, clear pane windows?
I mean, personally, I like a balcony.
Yeah.
And I'm not staying anywhere that doesn't have a balcony when I'm on vacation.
Yeah. So oceanfront is huge.
Oceanfront and a balcony. I mean, otherwise, yes, floor to ceiling window if you don't have the balcony. But I mean, people are coming to the beach because they want to be on the beach.
Yep.
Right.
That's exactly right.
So, if you're at a resort and you're buying, an interior unit that doesn't have a view, it's not your best investment, even though you're buying at a lower price.
I completely agree with her, guys. You got to listen. It's got to be oceanfront. It's got to be updated. If you can get a massive balcony, that's a huge win. And you can't have old carpet and dirty walls.
Yeah. Keep it in good shape.
Keep it in good shape. You got to have upgraded furniture for sure. Now, okay, so how important are professional cleaning and maintenance services in guest satisfaction and reviews?
I think that's huge.
Talk to us.
That's huge. And unfortunately, what we see sometimes is we'll see reviews for one of our resorts, but perhaps it's not one of our units that's on our program. It could be somebody who's self-managing. And, they might complain about the maintenance or the housekeeping, which affects the whole resort.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have to say, well, it's not on our program, right?
Okay.
But I would say those are probably the 2 biggest complaints that you see about it, because we're going on vacation. We want it clean. We want everything working, right?
No doubt.
And a lot of people are trying to stay somewhere nicer than what their home is, right?
No
'Cause
doubt.
they're on vacation.
They're on vacation, yeah.
They're splurging.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to have that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, since we're talking about ROI, let's kind of get into a little bit here. Let's get into Landmark's numbers.
Oh boy, let me put my glasses
Yeah,
on.
I've got my laptop here, guys, and
All right.
I've got a pamphlet from Miki. You've got numbers traced back from 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and then you've got the highest that you had come in, and this is all through the on-site property management program.
Correct, and the highest is for 2023.
Yep.
Not for the 3 years,
Yep.
but the highest for the last year.
Yep, absolutely.
And obviously in January we'll have these all updated, so it'll be 2024, 2023, 2022.
Yep.
It'll drop off.
Yep. Now, kind of walk us through. I noticed that you had what is this? This is a deluxe oceanfront STE double. Kind of walk us through. Did 2 beds in a room make a difference versus 1 bed in a room? Why?
And it can, and it varies too by room type. But so if you have 2 beds in a room, what happens is that helps with group business. So that group business that we're getting in the fall and in the spring,
okay.
A lot of them, they want the 2 beds, right? Because they want to put people in the room.
Yeah,
they want to put people in the room.
Yeah.
A husband and wife on vacation, maybe they want the king.
Okay, for sure.
But so definitely the 2 beds can definitely make a difference.
So the ability to sleep more people, you would say, as the ability to sleep more people goes up, the more the gross rental income goes up. Is that a safe assumption?
In most cases,
but
not always.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look at all the numbers at all our different resorts, sometimes the king does better.
Really?
So it
wow.
can be, yeah.
Okay.
But I would say generally speaking, yes, the 2 beds do better.
Now, how did this unit do so much better? Like, so for example, this deluxe front suite double, you've got here, all 3 of these years, it made, at best in 2021, 34,000, at best in 2022, 31,000. And then, of course, in 2023, it actually went up at best to 38.
Well,
but then
in
you've got
2022, you can see, I'll just make a footnote, right?
Okay.
That the reason that it dipped down was because there were HOA improvements and construction going on. So that affected, no matter who you were renting with.
Gotcha.
That affected the resort revenue.
Okay.
So that's why that had that little dip.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
but we all benefit from it now.
No doubt.
Right?
Yeah. Now, and speaking of that, let's just get on a little side road here. Investors are always freaked out over special assessments and HOA fees. First-time investors especially freak out about the cost of how much an HOA fee is monthly. For serious and seasoned investors, guys, it is routine history. The HOA consists of people that actually own on site. They own there, so they're not going to increase those prices unless they have to. And they're generally making value-added decisions that are going to improve the property and maintain it so that it can continue to attract all the guests that want to pay all that gross rental income to be in your unit.
Exactly. So yeah, you don't want a resort that's not keeping up and they're not doing their improvements. For sure. Because it's going to affect you, and then eventually you're going to be shut down for longer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anytime you let something accumulate,
which is something that you don't want to happen. Yeah.
Correct.
You definitely don't want that to happen. Yeah. Now, so HOA fees, yes, they're going to be high, but they pay for the 17 pools at the Landmark. There's 17 pools there. I mean, there's an on-site restaurant, there's bars, there's little shops. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff there that you have to pay for. Now, moving right along.
I'll just make this side note.
Yeah, go for it.
So the HOA at the Landmark.
Yeah.
We own the restaurants, the front desk, the coffee shop, and the water park.
Okay.
So your HOA, because that's a common question at the Landmark, is the HOA does not pay for that space.
Okay.
Right? And that's why, because it's our space, we can restrict it so just anybody that's on our program can use those amenities.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the generally speaking, you're correct.
Generally speaking, yeah. Okay. So technically you guys own all those things.
Yes.
Yeah. So which is why you can say, hey, your guests can't use them.
Correct.
Yeah. So let's kind of jump. Let's jump into that juicy topic: restrictions with on-site and off-site property management. Kind of So, some places will allow their owners to, the self-managing, guests to use all the on-site stuff. Caribbean's that way. I mean, there's a good handful. Paradise Resorts that way.
Sure.
Grand Atlantic's that way.
And a lot of them are, and it started in 2020, right? And so it became common along the Grand Strand. In 2020, when the restaurants and things started opening back up, if you all remember, you can only have so many people, you had social distancing, all that sort of thing. So it's common for on-site rental to restrict the restaurants just for the people that had booked through them. And then we said, wait a minute, this is a great idea, right? because you were able to increase your rates,
no doubt,
right? Because now you're kind of like VIPs.
That's right.
Right? And so that became more common along the Grand Strand. And you see other resorts do it as well. But
absolutely. So that's where it came from.
Yes.
So up until 2020, there was never really any of those kinds of things in place.
No. Yeah, it started in 2020,
So the HOA fights with the self-managed guest, restricting certain amenities because they own them, and technically their HOA fees don't pay for those.
Correct.
So they don't have a right to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, because people always say, "Oh, our HOA fee." It's like, well, your HOA doesn't cover that though because we own that space.
Oh, wow.
And we're the on-site rental. So, and that's not at all of our resorts, but like at Landmark, we do. Here at Beach Cove, where we are right now, you have to be on the on-site rental program to have access to this area that we're in right now.
Which is a very cool area, by the way, guys. But yeah, so go ahead. Yeah, there's like a breakfast here.
Yeah. So I mean, well, and it's open breakfast. Well, it opens at lunchtime typically. Breakfast on season, but we're overlooking the pool area.
Yep.
I mean, this is great. These doors all go up. So this is great.
It's a massive bar. There's a little gift shop. There's an arcade. I mean, so it's obviously a lot of fun stuff that people staying on site. You got kids. Or you want to come downstairs and eat.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, now, going back to this unit here at Landmark in 2021, 32 to 34,000. In 2022, 30 to 31,000. It dipped, and then in 2023, it was 31 to 38,000, and then you've got an outlier of as much as 46.5. So, what caused that one unit to make so much more than all the rest?
Sure. So it gets a little bit complicated. Obviously, that's going to be an upgraded unit, right? And my guess would be that owner was perhaps directing some marketing towards his unit.
Okay. Along with what y'all do.
On top of.
Yeah.
Yes. So, because typically what we've always done, and I don't want to get too complicated into our reservation system, but we've always advertised just like a resort does, right? It's by unit type, and the guest doesn't know what unit they're getting until they check in.
Okay.
So now about a year, and within that we have premier units and non-premier, which is upgraded and not upgraded, right?
Okay.
Upgraded units will always get rented first. It's on a rotating basis.
Okay.
So therefore, they're going to make more money.
No doubt.
They typically make at least around $2,000 to $3,000 more a year with the same unit type than the same unit that's not upgraded.
Okay. That's not much of a difference.
Well, and so what we've done now is, and the Landmark is our last one to get it. They're getting it early 2025. But we've also added in so the guests can now book the specific unit.
Okay.
Right? So it's just like the benefit of why people like VRBO and things like that.
Because they can choose what they're getting.
You click on the pictures. This is what you want. You can book it. So they go through our system. We don't do it on VRBO. They go through our system.
Yeah.
And they can either book by the unit type, like we've always done, just like a hotel, or they can book their specific unit, and they're going to pay a higher rate to book the specific
Which
unit.
obviously gives the owner the premium of the fact that they remodeled their unit. Correct. And now they're more likely to get an ROI on the fact that they put all the extra money into it. Correct. It's very, very smart.
Yeah. So premier units will, they'll get us a bump with that, let's say 5,000 to 8,000 probably. Yep. And then plus even in the premier type, because we still have this part of the reservation system going, they're still making a couple grand. So an upgraded unit of the same unit type can really do quite a bit better.
Would you, and this is just now hitting me, would you say that it's more advantageous for an owner that has a dated unit to rent through the on-site property management company as opposed to an owner that has a remodeled unit, except for the fact that You know, I found a 1-bedroom at Caribbean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made $72,000 last year, self-managed. I
Mm-hmm.
got to talk to the owner. She did all kinds of additional marketing,
Sure.
But $72,000 on a 1-bedroom, that's the best one I found so far.
Sure.
I found 3 at.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That's impressive.
That's really impressive. Compass Cove, I found there's three different 1-bedrooms in the last 2 years. One made 53, one made 52, one made 50. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so would you say that it's more advantageous if they have a dated unit to rent with you guys because they're going to at least get a guaranteed number, as opposed to if they've remodeled it and they are all in marketing like crazy and this is all that they do?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's some truth to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because they're still going to get their unit type reservations, even though people wouldn't be probably booking their unit if it was not upgraded.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially in the off season, you'll still get some group business and that sort of stuff. So.
Okay. Now, let's talk about just a little bit about guest behavior and market trends. Have you noticed any shifts in the type of guests that are coming to Myrtle Beach post-pandemic?
Well, we definitely get more people that come in the off season, I think.
Now?
Yes, because what happens is a lot more people are working, virtually, right?
Remote working.
Remote working. So, they'll come and stay at the beach for, a month or two. We get Canadians that come down for months at a time, right?
Okay.
But we definitely have seen an increase in that where people are like, I'm just going to go work at the beach for, a month or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a whole lot more of that.
Yes.
And a whole lot more off-season business.
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that's
I mean,
good.
like I said, it's still, a smaller percentage compared to
Yeah.
summer, but I do think we're seeing more of that.
That's cool. So there's a shift there. Okay, so post-pandemic, we had some record-breaking years.
Yes.
Right? Can you shed any light on that? And I know it's been the last 2 years have definitely declined.
Well, 2021 was amazing, right? Because we had the pandemic in 2020. Everything was shut down. People had money to spend, because if you remember, the government was giving money, right?
Come on.
And then people were, they were just happy to be out of the house.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I think 2021 was gangbusters.
And they couldn't travel overseas.
Right.
So
Right.
Myrtle Beach, here we come.
Yeah. Well, then people love Myrtle Beach and they keep coming back.
And it is super affordable. To what you said, Myrtle Beach, out of the top 10 beach towns in the U.S., is ranked number 5, and it is super affordable.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So obviously it went through the roof.
Well, if you're going to compare it to 2021, it's down, but I think it's starting to get to those levels again.
Okay.
And of course, we've changed our marketing too, right? Because we added this whole book by unit type.
Yep.
Right. And
yep.
So we've only had that for about a year or so now.
Okay.
A little over a year. Like I say, and Landmark's just getting it, so it's our last resort to get it. So they're getting it probably the first quarter of 2025.
So you're already starting to see that little bit of uptick
from the book by unit, yes.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so what are the most common complaints from guests, and how can owners address them proactively?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The most common complaints that you hear from guests, and how can owners address them proactively? Is there anything that an owner can go ahead and do now to really to get ahead of complaints?
Sure. Well, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, where it's maintenance and housekeeping. Like, keep it up to date, keep it looking good, everything working, and just cleanliness. I mean, I think everybody has always, you're on vacation, you want it to be clean.
Yeah.
But I think especially since 2020, I think people are just very particular about it.
Okay.
So I would say, just to keep your unit the best that you absolutely can.
And do you think that guests have gotten more particular about it because the market's so saturated with rentals because there's so much competition?
I mean, there could be some validity to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, what about Airbnb and VRBO? Do you think, first, that those platforms are here to stay, or do you think we'll have a crash?
Well, we're starting to see that getting saturated, right? And I'm sure you have too.
Come on.
And the Chamber of Commerce actually put out a report. I think it was in the spring, so about a year ago, right?
Okay.
About a year or so ago. And they said that VRBO and Airbnb in particular were down across the country, right?
Okay.
They said it was really down in Myrtle Beach. They were hit harder. Now, some of that could be like the market saturated, everybody's doing it,
No doubt.
that sort of thing. And it goes back to my point, like, how do you make your unit stand out if that's what you're doing it for your marketing?
Yeah, and
Right.
and simultaneously, 2023, I found a unit that made 72 grand. So it's not like you can't make money even though the market's declining.
Correct.
People are still
Yeah,
doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, some people, and I think you just have to find ways to drive business. It's marketing.
That's right.
To drive business, whether it's social media, whatever you're doing. I don't think you can just throw it up on there and let it do its thing anymore.
Those days are over.
Gone, right?
Those days are over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd say that if we got down to the nuts and bolts of this thing,
mm-hmm.
probably the most important thing that a Myrtle Beach oceanfront condo owner that's self-managing could be doing is marketing, and not a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have to drive business to your unit because, I mean, there is a lot of competition, right? I mean, there's a lot. So
Yeah. So that number one most important factor, guys, I mean, marketing. Like, you can have the best product in the world, and if nobody knows about it,
correct.
It's not making any money. And in a down market, that's when you have an opportunity to actually take market share. Because basically, if you're putting that work in and your competition's not putting that work in, then you can scoop that business up, and hopefully they've had such a great experience with you.
And you get repeat business.
You get repeat business year over year over year. Next thing you know, you've got your occupancy up to 85, 90%. Now you can start charging a premium and charge even more rent because you've got a steady book of business.
Sure.
So, and that kind of leads. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to go back to that, with marketing and VRBO and this kind of thing, and people trying to self-manage. I will say, since it was interesting when we heard about this report from the Chamber of Commerce, and then in this past year, so for 2024, we have seen more units that were previously being rented through offsite companies or self-managed. Right, we have had more of those people contacting me and joining our program in record numbers this year.
Really?
Like record numbers. And so we go back to, and what I'm hearing from them is that they're not making the revenue that they used to, and that their expenses are high. Right, it goes back to our maintenance thing. But like it's crazy.
So wow, and that's this year.
That's this year, and it was interesting because we heard this Chamber of Commerce report, and
I definitely want a copy of that.
And we were like, this will be very interesting, and let's see. And then we saw, and I can get that for you.
Yeah.
And then we saw, well, this really is true because this is what people are saying.
Because it's happening in the market. You're seeing it.
And I think what's happening is, like we're saying, the VRBO, Airbnb are kind of getting saturated. Now, obviously, I'm not hearing from the people who are doing well.
Right?
I'm hearing from the people that
are not doing well. Yeah. And so that parlays into a whole other topic, which, you can have two CEOs in the same exact industry at the same exact time. There's a great book called Good to Great, Jim Collins. You need to read it if you haven't read it. And, he talks about two different CEOs, same industry, same time. They were both in the steel industry. One CEO said that it was because of imports that they did so bad. Steel is super heavy and it cost a lot to import. The other CEO said it's because steel was super heavy and it cost a lot to import, that it caused us to rise to the occasion and become the people that we were supposed to be. And that's why we soared and the competition tanked. Same industry, same time, right?
Sure, different perspective.
So basically, this is going to come down to you as an investor, as an owner and operator of a short-term vacation rental business. Are you going to be the CEO that sees the circumstances? I mean, and you're gonna cave and go, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. Or you're just going to light a fire, or it's going to light a fire underneath you, and you're going to go, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to learn. I'm going to research. I'm going to make the right contacts and connections. I'm going to watch this YouTube channel show as well. I'm going to call Miki and find out everything I can find out from her, and see if I can get her to tell me all the secrets. All that kind of stuff. But you can be that CEO that rises to the occasion. but it's going to take some hard work, and it's not going to be easy.
That's a lot of work, and you go back to what's the value of your time and all of that,
Right? It's so good. Now,
and I mean, and self-managing it is for some people, and they do great,
and they do great,
love it,
yeah,
and like that's awesome. I mean, there's enough business for everybody.
That's right. That's right.
I'm here to help the people that can't do that.
Exactly,
or they don't want to,
or they've
they've
like,
I've been doing it for years. I'm done.
Yeah.
I want to travel, whatever.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, and I've got to throw this in here. What role does hospitality play in your business and creating guest experience? Because you manage lots of units at lots of oceanfront condo resorts. What does hospitality mean to you, and how is that expressed in your experience? How do you keep guests coming back to y'all?
I think for one thing, I mean, we have a more personal interaction with them, right? Because we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. We're on site. We have the front desk. Our general manager is here. All of that. So I think it's much more personal.
Okay.
From my standpoint, I work with buyers and agents, not the guests, but buyers and agents and homeowners, and I work 7 days a week, right?
No doubt.
I'm always available, right?
Yep.
When I'm down in Fort Lauderdale hanging out with my friends, I'm still taking phone calls and making deals.
Text messages. That's right. Yep.
So I know what the somewhat what the people who are self-managing do.
Go through, yeah, go through. So, but what are those factors that get people to come back? Like, if you had to put your finger on the fact that we did this, this, and this, and that's what created a great experience for our guests. What are those factors? Like, what are those nuts and bolts? I mean, is it as simple as it being a clean room that, has great furnishings, it's upgraded, and whenever they go to the front desk, people are smiling and friendly to it? Like, is it that easy? Like,
I mean, I think it's all of those things, right? Collectively, right? It's like, what does the resort bring, right? What's the location? Is it clean? Was it maintained? If there was an issue, how was it handled?
Yeah.
Right? That's huge.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will have a great experience, and that's lovely. But what really makes, I think, an impression on people is if there's an issue or a challenge of some sort. Did somebody go above and beyond to do something to help them?
And you're saying the guests know the difference.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, and if you put it just from your own perspective, right? Like, what about when you're on vacation, right? You might remember the people at the front desk, or you say, oh, I couldn't get my TV to work because I didn't know to flip the switch.
Yeah.
Right. And you come up and the maintenance guy was super nice and he was up there in 5 minutes and he got it for you and he didn't make you feel stupid. Right. Like,
exactly.
You're like, man, they were just so nice about
that. They're so nice to me. Yeah. I could definitely hang out here.
Yeah. And they did it. I mean, of course you have to like the unit and the resort and all of that. But I think it's all collectively.
So I've heard it said that hospitality is when something happens for you, not to you. Come on, right? And so that might wrap up the essence of what you're saying.
Exactly.
There. We're going to be there on the spot.
You said that better than me.
Well, I mean, I'm throwing it out there. Yeah. And that's definitely not my quote, guys. Not my quote. Now, all right, so Airbnb, VRBO. Do you think that they're starting to favor property managers over self-managing owners? Ooh, come on. Are they favoring property management companies, property managers, as opposed to self-managing owners now? I mean, like, do you think that there's a preference there? I know that, let me throw this out. I know that Airbnb, from what I hear from more than one investor owner, Airbnb is extremely customer-centric and not host-centric. In other words, if a customer complains about something, they will just refund their money. And the host is like, dude, like, this is bogus. Like, I had somebody's luggage, hit the side of my molding on the bottom. There was a streak. They sent a picture in and said, I want a refund, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you probably deal with some of that.
So I personally don't. So because we use Airbnb and VRBO. I mean, we use those sites. We don't use them a lot. That's maybe 10% of our business.
Wow.
Right.
Direct booking right through your website.
Correct. Yeah. So, and we have our marketing department, so they're constantly doing, social media and email blasts. And, we've been in business for 50 years. So, I mean, you can imagine what our database is.
Yeah,
right?
Your database is huge.
I mean, so we do all that.
I see your emails come through. I'm signed up. Yeah, I'm signed up.
But yeah, so, and then when you book through VRBO or Airbnb, you got to give them a cut. right? So
yeah.
and that our other point to that is, well, we don't want to give them a cut,
No
right?
doubt.
I mean, that affects everybody's revenue.
That's right.
So yeah, so we do that maybe 10%, and we feel like even though we were hit a little bit, like going back to this report, right, where they're saying VRBO and Airbnb were down a little bit in the Myrtle Beach area, we weren't as affected as much because that's only 10% of our business.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right. So like we were down a little bit, but it's only 10% of our business. It didn't really hit us as hard as like say some of these maybe offsite companies or self-managers that that I'm hearing from that are joining now.
Absolutely. So back to our question, do you think Airbnb and VRBO favor property managers, or do you think they favor the self-managing?
I mean, I'm just not involved in it enough to give you an answer.
Okay, no worries. All right, now, is the local government cracking down on short-term rentals?
Well, you told me you just heard
I've got it right here. I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, like you heard something that I don't know yet, so you catch me off base.
I'm going to read something to you, and I mean, I'm going to tell you, it's spicy, guys. It's spicy. I got a client of mine emailed me or texted me this morning about this, and I hadn't heard about it. It was a Facebook post from, which once it loads, I'll tell you who it is.
Sure.
It was a Facebook post. Where is this? There we go. Open with Facebook. It was from Myrtle Beach short-term rentals owners, Clay Roush. Attention, write the mayor. North Myrtle Beach recently held meetings discussing potential changes to short-term rental regulations, and there's a lot at stake for self-managed hosts. One of the most concerning aspects of the proposal is a push to force self-managed owners into using property management companies. Here's the kicker. At least one council member owns a large property management company in the area. This is a blatant conflict of interest and an attempt to funnel business directly into their hands at the expense of homeowners like us. These proposed regulations are unnecessary, unfair, and designed to limit competition. If you value your ability to manage your own property and keep your hard-earned income, now is the time to take action. Airbnb has provided a link where you can send a message to the mayor and voice your opposition to this measure. It only takes a few minutes, and it's vital to our voices being heard. It impacts everybody in the short-term rental community. So
what's the regulation that's pushing them, that they feel is pushing them towards on-site management?
Well, okay, so funny you say that.
I think I missed that.
My investor sent me a text message like out of nowhere. He's like, are you aware that the additional regs for short-term rentals are being proposed from the Myrtle Beach City Council? And he put, basically, there's an annual permit requirement. Each short-term rental must obtain an annual permit fee of $250. You can get fines if you don't do it. You have to have something called a local responsible party. Operators must designate a local contact who can respond to complaints within 30 minutes. Dedicated enforcement group. The city plans to establish a specialized team to handle short-term or related issues such as parking, trash, noise, and other complaints. Mandatory inspections. Short-term rental properties will be subject to physical inspections for safety and parking compliance. Use of third-party vendors, which is...
I wonder what's prompting all this.
I don't know. The city plans to hire a third-party vendor for services like permit or registration, compliance monitoring and outreach, and then increase staffing for short-term rental oversight, implementation timelines. Anyways.
Yeah, so there's a lot
there. So the concerns for investors are high operational costs from permits, third-party vendors, and inspections. That's going to increase operational expenses.
So that permit, I'm guessing, is on top of the business license?
To be honest with you, I don't have the specifics of it. I'm just now hearing about it.
Because I'm like, the business license you've always had to have. So that sounds like it's something like in addition.
And then
I'm hearing this cold. So
yeah, me too.
Really
me too.
Know,
yeah. So and then having to have a local responsible party for non-resident investors. I mean, how's that going to work? Anyway, so I guess the big concern for this investor was, this is going to impact my bottom line. What if this causes it not to be as affordable to operate my business? And then if it's not affordable for him, it's not going to be affordable most likely for other investors.
Right, yeah.
And that could...
And I just don't know enough about that. But I mean, personally, I would say everybody should be able to decide what you know what I mean?
I get it.
If you want to self-manage, if you have an off-site company, if you want to come on-site. And so I don't know what's prompting those changes.
Yeah. I don't know about it either, but I am gonna.
I can't really speak to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it either, but I am looking forward to getting to the bottom of it because I definitely want to find out what's going on and how it's going to impact our future.
Sure, yeah.
Now, obviously, there is also an excise tax and a local hospitality and accommodations tax that has to be paid. There's also a South Carolina state tax. Now, guys, just to give you a little bit of background on these, you're going to pay 1.5% for a local accommodations and hospitality tax. Then you'll also pay a 1.5% of your gross income to Horry County. So that's a total of 3%. And then there's a local excise tax in Myrtle Beach. It is $145 for the first $2,000 that you make in gross income, and then it is $6 for every $1,000 that you make after that.
Okay, you know more details on that than I do.
So that's just to give you a little bit, outside of that, we're just now hearing about this whole short-term regulations. Generally, I mean, I would say that Myrtle Beach has been in the oceanfront condo business and in the tourism business since the 1930s at least. The ocean's not going anywhere. The tourism isn't going anywhere, so I think it's still a very safe bet. And more on that in the future. Now, are guests getting more entitled and demanding, or is this just the nature of the short-term rental business?
Well, I think people are getting more and more educated.
Okay.
Right? So I think, that maybe they are being higher expectations.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
People are online, they're on social media. I mean, everybody's just getting more informed. And I would think that maybe, they are. And we're entitled, right? Because, I mean, we're guests too when we're on vacation.
No doubt.
Right?
I'm going to pay $2,500 to stay somewhere for a week or $3,000.
Yeah.
I'm not going to expect craziness or problems. Like this is my time away with my family,
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, how do you handle difficult guests who threaten bad reviews, and what advice would you give self-managing owners in these types of situations?
Well, I think you should always reply. You have to reply to reviews, right? Like you have to address them, and you have to reframe, I think, that from trying to one up the party.
No
right?
doubt.
Because and you see that.
That's
see that
horrible.
Sometimes, So no, I mean, you have to be professional and friendly. You have to address the issue.
Yeah.
You have to address it. Hopefully, correct whatever it was in some manner.
Yeah. Yeah.
But make them feel valued and heard.
No doubt.
Because really, you're addressing that person, but you're addressing all the people that are reading that.
It could be 1,000 more people in the next 5 years.
And they're looking at, again, what your response is, right? Everybody has a challenge. They could, a guest might put a review out there that the unit was dirty, let's say.
Yeah.
But what it goes back to what I said is now people watching are going to say, well, but how did they reply to that? How did they address it?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
How did they handle it?
So ultimately, what making them feel valued and heard. I know that I heard you say that, which is huge. It's huge. You also mentioned the word professional. You never get the opportunity to take your CEO hat off.
Correct.
Not in public.
Correct.
Not if you want to do this business and survive.
Yep.
Ultimately, if we take it to a higher level, or maybe another way to say what you're saying, as a CEO that is self-managing a short-term vacation rental property business in the public eye, you are learning to steward reputation. They're reading those comments.
Correct.
And they're going, that guy sounds like a hothead.
Right.
I don't want him to treat me like that. If I'm complaining about coffee not being in the coffee station,
right.
I think I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't want to rent this unit because,
You're learning.
Yeah,
exactly. I read this one and this one. That's all I needed to hear. I don't want to rent his unit. I don't care how nice it is. Because I don't want to deal with him if I have an issue.
Correct.
And as opposed to somebody else who made a person feel valued, made them feel heard, did their best to handle it, to work it out in a fair way. That's going to go a lot further, and that's going to give you the kind of reputation that people are going to be looking for when they want to do business.
Correct. Yep. Well said. Yep.
All right. Now, local knowledge and insider tips. What local events or seasonal trends should owners leverage to increase bookings? Kind of walk us through. You know, the country music festival comes, 40,000 people show up. There's bike week. You know, I mean, like walk us through kind of your own, you know, your thoughts around it.
Well, I mean, I'm not giving away all my clues, man. But no, I think you just have to be really in tune with what's going on in the area, and that goes back to your marketing.
Yep.
Tapping into all
Yep.
of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, guys, you know, you just to name a few, you will have the country music festival. Some of the biggest names in country music come. You got 40,000 people that show up for like a few days.
Sure.
I mean, no doubt. You got 2 different bike weeks. You know, it pretty much shuts down the city in ways.
Yep.
The traffic is at least changed. And then you have all kinds of festivals and all kinds of things going on. You got all kinds of, you know, PGA, the PGA is here. I mean, like, guys, there's so much stuff. So you definitely want to take advantage of those keywords at those specific times of year and create marketing content around those topics, because people are looking and clicking on that stuff.
Correct. And I mean, that's a great way to increase your revenue too, because I know that a lot of the smaller offsite companies or, you know, self-managers, you know, they just set their rates for the year, let's say like in January.
Set it and forget it.
Correct. Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And so you know, like we have a revenue management department, right? Their whole goal is to see what all the competition's doing on the Grand Strand.
Yes.
And we can change our rates up and down as needed, right?
Absolutely. So I've got to dive into that just a little bit, because I have another investor. She owns 11 oceanfront condos. She owns a property management company. She manages over 100 properties, maybe more. I don't know exactly.
Sure.
But basically, you know, she has meetings with the Airbnb executive, the VRBO executive. She has once a month meetings with these different people that are watching the market and keeping track of things. And of course, she's doing it herself.
Sure.
So she's got multiple vantage points.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and that's the big kicker here. We're going to go back to that at the end, guys. That's the benefit of hiring a property manager if you don't want to do all that work. Now, you know, so she's getting a vantage point in multiple areas from multiple people and not just trusting herself. What does your revenue department team do in order to stay ahead of the market, in order to know how to maximize things?
Well, that's their job. That's what they do, man.
Okay, so that's
why we have a department for that.
she's not giving us the secrets there. Now, can you give us any kind of insider tips for pricing strategies during peak and off season? You know,
I mean, that's selective, right? I mean, obviously we know we're going to increase our rates, you know, in the summertime around these festivals, you know, these peaks, right?
Yep.
You know, the holidays, anywhere you can. It's a catch-22, right? Because now I just had somebody join my program, for an example, last month, and they said, well, you know, this small offsite company had their unit, and it was, I think it was a 1-bedroom unit, and it was at like $326 in September. Well, good luck, it's just sitting there. You know, so yeah, then maybe you're only paying that offsite company 20%, but it's 20% of zero. And
zero ain't helping you.
Right. So, I mean, you can put whatever rate you want out there, but nobody's going to book it. You know, so like you have to make sure, right?
Yeah, got to be smart with this. Yeah. So, okay, so
it goes down to your revenue.
All right, a few things. First thing is, I've heard 2 different investors say that they will do that. Myrtle Beach is a last-minute market. They will keep their prices high and aim to catch those people at the last minute that are renting. You know, that you know, on that Friday they're like, let's go to the beach.
Yeah, there's a certain marketing strategy to that.
Okay, so that's real. That's real. Now, what do you do during peak season besides just drop the price like crazy? I mean, like a lot of people will drop their prices super low peak season. Are there any kind of strategies?
Drop their prices?
I'm sorry, not peak season, off season.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Dude.
No. Don't drop your price peak season. Don't ever do that. Off season months, they will drop their prices. You know, and
sure.
Kind of walk me through. I mean, is there anything that a person can do to not have to drop their prices so low?
I think it goes to your marketing, right? So there's different ways to bring business, and some of it, you know, can sometimes be, you know, stay 4 nights, get your 4th night free, but really it's the same rate as you would.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's, you know, that.
Okay. So interesting enough, what you're saying is values in the eye of the beholder. In other words, a golfer in an off-season month might think that it's well worth, $200 a night to rent or $250 a night to rent this place because he's going to be there with his golfing buddies, and for him, he wants a great place. It looks great. It works. As where maybe a snowbird is going, I won't pay more than $100 a night.
Correct.
So it really does come back to marketing, because if you can get that marketing material in front of the right end user, they'll go gladly hand you $250 a night or $500 a night or whatever.
Sure. And people go to that all the time, right? Like snowbird rentals, like you're saying, which is guests that stay for 30 days or longer in the off season.
Yeah.
That's what we call snowbird rental. Now, typically at our resorts, they would pay a monthly, right? If it's 30 days or longer, they get a monthly rate. And some owners don't like that because they're like, well, it boils down to X amount of
dollars a night,
right?
Yeah.
But then you say, well, it's the off season though. So how many nights are you really going to get in December?
Exactly.
Right. So I mean, just catch 22.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what do? Do you not rent for the month when you got a person with the money right here in front of you, hoping that you fill those last 2 weeks?
Correct.
Come on now.
I mean, I think snowbirds are great business. I think it's great business. I think it's great business because it's off season. I mean, and it's guaranteed, right?
I'll take a guaranteed person.
Correct. And it's good for the community as well, right? Because they're out spending money and doing stuff.
It's bringing money from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, now, do you think that smaller units rent better in the off season?
I think for snowbird rentals, yes.
Okay.
Right. So I think.
Who do you primarily see as a snowbird?
Well, it's going to be either a couple or an individual,
okay.
Right? You're not typically seeing a family coming down for 2 months, right? It's going to be an individual, maybe somebody who's working remotely,
okay.
Maybe a couple from Canada. So yeah, you don't need multiple bedrooms necessarily. They do, like, if they're staying for 30 days, they do like some type of a kitchen.
Okay.
Right, so not just the guest room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they also like a stackable washer and dryer in the unit.
Sure. Yeah. There's multiple.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, because you need some of the features of home.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right. It's going to be long term. So.
Or at least have laundry to go to that laundry facilities at least on
site.
Yeah.
All right. So moving right along, technology and automation. What are the best tools or apps that you recommend to remote owners to manage their properties effectively?
I wouldn't have an answer for that.
No?
I don't know.
No?
No, I don't get involved in that.
No, you don't. So nothing for like pricing software, just no.
I got different departments for that, man.
Okay, no, that's cool. That's cool. Right now, do you think that AI and automation will eventually replace on-site property managers?
Man, you're asking some tough ones.
No.
I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball.
I don't blame you. On-site property managers, that's pretty tough. I mean, you're going to need somebody on site, always. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, and I think, there's different travelers for different things, right? Some people love, the coded lock and, on-site,
they don't got to talk to anybody.
Yeah, some people like that. Security wise, I know when I travel, I keep going back to my a guest experience, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a guest when I'm traveling, and I know I personally book through on site all the time.
Yep.
And I don't even book through Expedia or whatever, right? Like I call the resort and I get a price match.
Yeah.
Right. So I think on site is the way to go.
On site is the way to go. Now, I doubt that AI is going to knock an on-site property manager off, although maybe it would help them to skim their operation some, cut back. But I think as far as people are always going to want to see somebody.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, now.
Goes back to your hospitality. Right?
Yeah, right.
Face to face.
Now, this is where we're starting to get into the juicy stuff. Property manager versus self-management debate. Why should an out-of-state investor hire a local property manager instead of self-managing?
Well, and I'll say again, right? If you can do it on your own, and that's great, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you really have to know your market. You have to be professional. You have to, maintenance, housekeeping, like you have to really know it. It's not just an easy thing to self-manage. And I do think some people think that it is.
Underestimate it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
you got to be able to confront the brutal facts of reality. Like, this is very much a job. If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. It's your business. You're a business owner.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I mean, even aside from the guest experience, I mean, there's accounting and taxes and paperwork and all that kind of stuff.
You need a full staff, right?
Well, I got multiple departments.
And yeah, exactly. And if you've never started a small business, you're going to find this out real fast. And I'm not trying to discourage you. We're not trying to discourage you from investing in. It works for a lot of people. People are very successful. I just interviewed yesterday a lady who owns 27 oceanfront condos here. Mm-hmm. She lives in Florida but owns them here. Go think about that one. Anyways, so basically, it is a full-time business. She does say that she's at dinner and she's answering her phone. Mm-hmm. And wherever she is, she's always answering her phone. So, and when you're first starting out in business, you're going to wear the marketing hat, and you're going to be the person that does the sales, and you're going to be the person that does the taxes, and you're going to be the person that does all these different departments. So,
right. I mean, it's a lot.
It is a lot. Now, just to parlay into that a little bit, I was talking to a gentleman. He's in his 50s. He's been working in the corporate world for years. Uh-huh. He says to me he's tired of making money for other people. He wants to make money for himself now. For a person like that, he wants to go into small business. He wants the challenge. He wants to start using all of his gifts, talents, and God-given abilities to generate generational wealth for him. And so that might be a good fit. And it could be that next chapter in your life that you're looking to embark on. Because it is going to be a bit of a journey.
Sure, it is. Yeah, and I mean, and it goes both ways, because there's people like you say, maybe they're retiring and they want to do this and they've got the time and they don't have a full-time job and this mm-hmm. is going to be their job. And then you have people who have been doing it for years, right? And now they're contacting somebody like me and saying, I've done it, but I'm tired.
I'm over it.
It's work. Yeah, I just want to relax now. I want somebody else to do it.
Yep. All right. So, do you think that self-managing owners risk losing out on higher revenue by not using local expertise? Are self-managing owners losing money because they're trying to self-manage? They don't know what they're doing, and if they could just partner with you,
Well, clearly, those are the people that I hear from. Right, we're going to go back to that, right?
Yep.
So I hear the people who find it challenging to do on their own, and they're thinking, and they realize this isn't for me. Like, for whatever reason, right? It might be time. It might be I don't know how to, market. I thought I could just put it on VRBO and it would get booked. Well, it's not. How do you make it stand out?
Yeah.
Right, all of that kind of stuff. So I mean, clearly, those are the people that I hear from.
That you help make more money.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the things that you hear people say when they call you on the phone? Like, I put it on Instagram and I didn't get a single click, or, like what is some of the stuff?
Right. Yeah. They're like, and typically, it's the biggest ones are VRBO and Airbnb, right? And they put it out there and they feel like they have their pretty pictures and, they're looking at rates and they're trying to be, but how do you make your unit stand out? Like, why are people picking, your unit over another one?
Exactly.
I mean, are people looking at 100 different units? Like, there's a ton,
right?
How do you make yourself stand out?
Exactly. You got to have. I can give you a few quick pointers. You got to have those colors that make it pop in the picture. Those teals and those pinks, and that they're scrolling and they go, "Ooh, that looks so pretty." Right. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have that design work there. It's got to be updated. And if you can have a unique value proposition, like a balcony, a massive wraparound balcony, telescope to watch the stars, coffee station, there's all these little touches that you can, do to it to make it stand out. And in your marketing, you're going to need to tell a story. There needs to be a narrative. Like, people need to be able to see themselves, and the story of that condo, of that vacation experience matches the fit of their family.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to go to Pawleys Island on vacation is going to look for a different narrative than somebody that's mainstream Myrtle Beach. Mm-hmm. That's the reality.
Yeah. And you go back to your question was, when people say they're going to come look at Beach Cove, right, or Landmark Resort or whatever, typically they're not going on VRBO or Airbnb when they're looking at a resort,
Okay.
right? So what we see are, people that are booking directly with us, right? Because people are like, oh, I'm going to the Landmark. Well, I'm going to go to their website.
I'm going to Google Landmark. Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to randomly finding that Landmark unit
On Airbnb.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Landmark, not Airbnb.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Landmark, obviously too, they can't use the water park or any of the restaurants or get a cup of coffee.
Come on now,
So,
come on.
Just going to throw that
Yep,
in
yep,
there.
yep, yep. Now, what's the most challenging ethical situation you faced in property management?
It's most ethical.
Challenging ethical situation. Maybe it's an employee you had to deal with. Maybe it's a guest you had to deal with. Maybe it's a homeowner. Maybe it's a HOA fight.
I don't know. I'll have to come back to that one.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Do you think it's fair for property owners to evict long-term tenants and turn their units into short-term rentals?
Oh, I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
No worries, no worries.
I'm going to plead the
Okay. So, all right. So,
I mean, that's their property. They can do whatever they want, right?
okay. Well, now, what's the weirdest guest request you've ever had? You've probably seen some weird stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't say it?
I'm not going
You can't say it?
I'm not going there.
All right. Have you ever had to evict a guest mid-stay?
No, I haven't. I mean, I'm sure the resort has.
Yep.
I have not been involved in that.
And then any nightmare.
And that is one nice thing to go to that.
Go for
right?
it. Go for it. Yeah.
Would be security and having people on site, right? Because if there is an issue, God forbid, right?
Yep.
There's violence in the room
God
or
forbid.
whatever.
Yeah.
We're here and we're on site, as opposed to somebody complaining from the unit next door, and they got to call you, the property owner.
Yep.
Who's
you got to call the cops.
Yeah, it's just very convoluted. It's like playing that game of telephone tag, right? So how long is it before the cops get the phone call and then the police are able to show up?
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So it's very so I would just go to on site, right? It's one more reason.
And the security person goes right up there, knocks on the door, and says, "Get your stuff and leave, please." Now, so any nightmare guest stories?
No.
Really?
I'm not telling any.
Oh, come on. Well, I want our investors to know this is not all pigtails and roses.
It's really not, but I mean, you will see some violence in the unit. Some people who just trash the units.
Really?
People that are sick. They're either the kids are cotton candy and soda, people who are out partying.
Yeah.
I mean, so you do run into that. To go to that point, if a guest does any damage to the unit, we charge the guest. That's a common question. People are like, well, what happens if this happens, right?
Yeah.
That is not a charge to the owner. That's a charge to the guest.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so if you had to go back in time and give yourself, if you're in the shoes of an investor, if you had to give an investor, just starting out, it's their first short-term property, a piece of advice, what's the one piece of advice?
I would say go with the on-site rental management, at least for the first year.
All right, go for it. Let's hear it.
I actually do say that to people, and because I think generally speaking, obviously some people are very educated, very informed, they've done their homework, etc., and that works for them.
Okay.
And again, the people I'm talking to are generally not that.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So, and maybe it's their first or second unit, that sort of thing. And I say, learn the ropes. Put it on, whether it's our resort or somebody else's. I'm very pro on-site rental management. So even if it's not one of ours, I say, you know what? Just put it on for the first year. Get your feet wet, see what's happening, and then if you want to try it on your own, try it. You can always go back.
Okay.
But I think it's a way to kind of learn and get used to it, because I think it's a lot more than most people think it's going to be.
No doubt. And it's going to take that fire under your tail to really, really get it done and win. Let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. Now, guys, I've got Miki here. If you're interested in getting a hold of her, please give me a call, send me a text message, look in the description below. Her info's in there. If you want to call her, talk to her, ask her questions, you're interested in on-site property management, please don't be a stranger. Get in contact with her. I know technically she is the enemy because you guys want to self-manage and make as much money as possible. At the same token, there are some of you out there. Cody went with you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's been on the channel, and it was a good fit for him. He's got his own stuff going on. He'd rather pass it off to a property manager. And there are many of you out there that are interested in finding a solid property manager to help you. Miki is on site at a lot of the oceanfront condo resorts in our market. She's got some amazing info I can send over to you that she's sent me, giving you tons of information, just about the whole process, getting you fully acquainted with it. And, even her numbers, which is, something that you've now seen on the screen because I've put that up there. But basically, get in contact with me. If you are anywhere from one month to 3 years out, I don't care where you are in the buying process, you can pick up the phone and give me a call, 843-360-1737. I get calls, emails, and texts from people just like you all the time looking to make an investment, and they want to buy a Myrtle Beach Oceanfront condo. And I love running all those numbers for you, whether it's gross rental income and operating expenses or taxes. I gather all of that info for you and send it over to you so that way you make an informed decision. And most of the time, I can help you get past the hurdles that you have very, very quickly just with one simple conversation. We talk on the phone, you say, my price range is this, I'm looking to do this, this, and this, and I can very easily point you right in the right direction. Give me a call. Don't be a stranger. And thanks for hanging out with me and Miki right here at the Beach Cove in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Guys, you gotta trust me. You made it to the end of the video, but you need to click the video that's on your screen right now to hear how Matt Freeze makes $15,000 to $30,000 a year in annual profit off each of his 8 Myrtle Beach Oceanfront condos. That's over $180,000 in average annual profits right there in passive income each and every year. Click the screen now.